Women of Reddit. What's the most crazy girlfriend thing you've ever done? Story 1. Years ago, my husband's friend came over with his new roommate. This was the first time either of us had ever met or spoken to her. New roommate was known as a stink, but I'm not one to judge. We all hang out and have a good time. Later that evening after they leave, I open my laptop and find that my husband is still logged into Facebook. I see that the roommate has sent him a friend request and put a message on his wall. No big deal. So I excited log out of his account and into mine so I can accept my new friend and chat with her too. Except, she didn't send me a friend request. She didn't leave a cute message on my wall. Just his. So I logged back into hubby's account and blocked her. Well, I have a mixed feelings about this. I mean, I understand why she did it, and to be fair, that other girl probably would have done something bad. However, still, she controlled her husband's account without him knowing. But then again, if they are open on what they have won each other account, I guess it's just crazy for me since I would personally not let anyone on my account. Story 2. My high school boyfriend ditched me on the night of my prom. He didn't come to pick me up after I was all dressed up and ready to go so he could go to his ex-girlfriend's house and hang out with her. My friends and their boyfriends all chipped in for my dinner so I could go out with them before the dance. But then I went home because I couldn't handle going to prom alone, knowing I'd been ditched. After prom was over, my friend showed back up at my house with several cartons of eggs. We drove to the ex-girlfriend's house, found my boyfriend's prized Mustang, and egged the out of it. Oh, it was also a convertible and had the roof down, so the eggs got all in the upholstery and all the other stuff too. My best friend's boyfriend also apparently knifed the tires, though I didn't find out about that until later. I mean, I guess she's justified, but I doubt it was even his car if they were in high school. She kind of just trashed his parents' car. And eggs can ruin paint, especially the clear coat. Never had anyone really destroy anything major on my car. But John Travolta's quote from Pulp Fiction always made me resist the urge to mess with someone else's car. Story 3. My ex had a sore on his leg and I had some cream I wanted him to use that would heal it. But the cream was a weird color, and he didn't want to put it on. I insisted that he should because it would literally heal it overnight, but he continuously refused and got annoyed. I finally snapped and started literally screaming at him to put the cream on and broke down in tears running to my room like a 3-year-old. We broke up not long after for other unrelated issues. This was about 10 years ago, and we broke up because we both had issues back then. We have gone our very separate ways and are both married to separate humans. I chucked a tantrum like a child because there was communication barriers and struggled to get him to do anything. He refused because I was irrational over most things due to the frustration of our toxic relationship. The cream was some magical stuff that someone gave me that had some crazy name, looked and smelt like tar, but it worked like a charm. I honestly thought this was going to end up being a Hunger Games reference until the part where she ran away crying. Though to be fair, I would have been pretty suspicious of it too with all of the "it'll heal your wood overnight" and with how adamant she was being. Story 4. This happened on a Saturday night. We'd been long distance and things were going super well, but I had awful anxiety. One of his friends from the new country was having a birthday party, so him and all their friends went out bear hopping that night. He made sure to tell me that he'd be out late and might not be able to text. So I was expecting it. But 4 hours passed, then 8, and I got so worried. I trusted him completely, so I didn't think he was with a girl, but I was scared he'd been hurt in an accident or gotten alcohol poisoning or something. 12 hours had been passed and I was hysterical. I've been messaging him every hour or so. I mean, after just the 9-hour mark, I was mourning the loss of my best friend and partner. I was laying on my bed sobbing, willing him to message me even just one word. I worried so much that my stomach hurt so bad I thought I'd throw up. And even though I trusted him completely, of course, depression and anxiety had to swoop in and say, I mean, since you're not good enough anyway, why wouldn't he go home with a hot girl? So I didn't know whether to think he was or be angry at him for cheating. I cried for hours because there was nothing I could do about the situation, and I just had to wait. Finally, 16 hours later, he messages me. He had turned his phone off to save the battery for the end of the night when he needed Google Maps, and knowing the way he operates, the battery probably was at 60 when he left anyway. Then they all went out to eat, then got super drunk, walked around town, and he came home and immediately passed out. I was so relieved to know he was okay, and we video chatted the next day. But I never told him how badly I worried because I felt so crazy. Well, that's totally some people I know. The worst is when the WhatsApp messages go through on their end, but the second check doesn't go in, so their phone is either off or not connected to data. That automatically means the person they're calling is Story 5. I started by internet stalking him. His MySpace, Facebook, his pictures, his friends, his notes, LiveJournal, DeviantArt, even his blog. I was convinced I was his dream girl and was determined to prove it. I was still casually dating though, and had an OkCupid profile. He showed up on my list at a 95s match, my highest ever. I paid for a list to be an invisible visitor and scoured his profile and its hundreds of answered questions. Read every book and watched every movie he mentioned. I actually ended up sincerely liking all of them. So silver lining, casually started dropping them in conversation, among others so as not to tip him off. I befriended his partners and exes for inside information. Another accidental sincerity as I'm still in contact with many of them. A decade later, I exclusively smoked his favorite brand of cigarettes and casually quoted his short stories, which I was fan level familiar with. We got matching tattoos for my birthday one year, and he has no idea I knew the tattoo he wanted a year before and started discussing my interests in a totally unrelated tattoo through that year. The matching tattoos were his idea by the time my birthday rolled around. Short version, it worked, but we aren't together. I do my best to never be that type of person. Well, I'm gonna say this is definitely a crazy girlfriend thing. Good for her for working on it though. Story 6. I fell for a guy and did that once. Tried to do everything to be his perfect match in every way possible. I listened to all his favorite bands, played his favorite video games, read his favorite books, etc. He liked me a lot. Even said he loved me and that I was his dream girl. Yet he never dated me. He just kept me on the back burner while he dated other girls and lied to me about it. I was crushed and I refused to date for years after that. Until I met my husband. I didn't have to try to be my husband's dream girl because I already was by default. I love him like crazy and I never have to prove myself worthy to him. The crazy thing is that those two relationships were basically back to back. It taught me a lot about what a healthy and unhealthy relationships look like. Sometimes I just feel that the more you put effort and try to work a relationship out, the more it does not work. I wonder if her first relationship would have worked out if she did not pursue it the way she did. Story 7. I spent a whole year trying to get back together with a guy who literally dragged me out of our house to break up with me. I thought he was just mad because it was a fight, couples fight. He couldn't actually want to end our relationship, not just over one stupid fight. Every reason he told me for breaking up with me, I heard as a problem I could solve so we could get back together. Of course, it didn't help that he was trying to morph things into a friends with benefits situation. So every flirtatious text where he was just lonely and trying to get laid, I saw as a sign that he was starting to want me back. So I spent a whole year of flirting, dressing up whenever I knew he'd be around, joking about which room in his new house would be my office when I moved back in. And here's the most crazy part. I actually started therapy to try to fix all the things that he broke up with me for. But what happened instead was that my therapist helped me figure out who I really am and what I really want. And it turns out it was not my ex.